Mrs. Gentry's 8th grade class had been buzzing for weeks about their Halloween field trip to Blackthrone Manor, an abandoned mansion on the outskirts of town. The place had a reputation. Locals said no one stayed after dark. They spoke of whispers in empty rooms, shadows moving behind boarded windows, and a woman in black who appeared in mirrors. The school dismissed the stories as nonsense. At 6 p.m., the yellow bus pulled up to the rusted iron gates. The only adult besides Mrs. Gentry was the driver, Earl Doss, a grizzled man in his 60s who had driven school buses for over 30 years. As the students stepped off the bus, Earl leaned out his window. "Be back by 9, Mrs. Gentry called. Earl frowned. "If you hear knocking on the front door after midnight, don't open it." The kids laughed. Inside, Blackthrone Manor was colder than outside. Dust drifted through flashlight beams like tiny ghosts. Portraits lined the walls, their eyes seeming to follow the group. At first it was fun. Students dared each other to explore dark hallways and hidden rooms. Then Tyler vanished. 1 minute he was joking in the upstairs nursery. The next his flashlight clattered to the floor, still on. Mrs. Gentry tried to keep everyone calm, but panic spread as more students disappeared. A scream echoed from the basement. A girl ran into the dining room and found the long table set with rotting food, and all the missing students sitting there motionless, eyes black as coal. They turned their heads toward her in unison. The doors slammed shut. By 8:45, the house was alive with shrieks, pounding footsteps, and a woman's laughter drifting through the walls. Outside, Earl sat gripping the steering wheel. He'd heard the stories years ago. 50 years earlier, Blackthrone Manor belonged to Lenora Blackthrone, a widow who lured children inside and fed their souls to something that lived beneath the house. At exactly 9:00, the front doors creaked open. No one came out. Then Earl heard it, dozens of small fists pounding from inside the mansion. "Let us out." The voices sounded like the students. Then one voice whispered from directly behind him on the bus. "Don't leave us, Earl." He spun around. Every seat was empty. The bus door hissed shut on its own. In the rear-view mirror, children filled the seats. Pale and smiling, Mrs. Gentry stood at the back, eyes black as midnight. Earl slammed the bus into gear and floored it through the gates. Tiny hands clawed at his shoulders and voices begged him to stop. He never looked back. At dawn, the bus was found parked outside the school. Earl sat behind the wheel, trembling, 20 years older overnight. The police searched Blackthrone Manor. They found nothing. No students. No teacher. No footprints. Just a class photo lying in the foyer. All 27 students were smiling. And in the back row stood Earl Doss, his face pale with terror, as if he'd been there all along.